Hey everyone, I'm Norm. Welcome to Breaking Back, a tennis podcast by fans, for fans, covering all aspects of the game with an unfiltered lens. And I'm here with my co-hosts, Peter and Chris. Welcome to Breaking Back. JB.
What's happening?
How we doing? I'll turn the video on for you.
Yeah, kid. What's up? Look,
So, brother,
look like, are you in a child's doctor's office?
it looks like we're in elementary school. I know. We look like, yeah, I can't say it.
Child's doctor office. That's perfect.
What is happening there?
Wait, it looks like you have a
It's
tie
a
on.
mural.
Are you putting a tie on? Oh, that's your shirt. I thought it was a tie you're putting on.
Oh, no, I got to go pop color. This is so at where I'm at the Intense tournament. I've become good friends with a great guy. Actually, he's actually worth interviewing. This guy, Andrew Satinoff, he's handling all the TV and production. And I actually met him on LinkedIn and actually connected him to get to the gig that he has at the Intense event. But anyways, he calls me Johnny Del Rey. He's got to see my collar pop, because the first time I ever met
Johnny Del Rey.
he's like Johnny Del Rey, what's happening? Where's the pop collar? Got to have it. So,
Are you in Atlanta?
I'm not right now. I'm back at home in Florida.
Okay.
And spending most of my summer there. I'm home this week because the way that the league works is we play 2 weeks, have the July 4th break off, play 2 more weeks, have a week off, and then we finish out with 2 more weeks to close out the season. So we're up there through August 10th. It's the last match. I'll be done on the 15th. Are we drinking?
I got water
You
today.
should be.
Staying hydrated.
That. Welcome to Breaking Back, presented by Portland, Maine's Lone Pine Brewing Company and their new refreshing citrus sweet ale, Summer Lights. Brewed with lemon and grapefruit zest, Summer Lights is the perfect beer for these 107-degree summer days we're having in Maine and in New England. Lone Pine Brewing's Pizza House, Tap Room, and Beer Garden in Old Orchard Beach are also now open 7 days a week. So make sure to check out Lone Pine's beach location there as well. Thank you, Lone Pine.
Thank you, Lone Pine, for sure. Yeah.
Summer Lights.
Drink your Lone Pine. Stay hydrated. It was hotter in Maine last week than it was in Egypt. I don't know about what about you, JB? What's it like down in Delray Beach, Florida?
In Delray Beach, Florida, you know what? Whenever I get a chance to talk with you guys, it's always an excuse to pop a cocktail. So, I'm going with a nice Sauvignon Blanc right now. I think it kind of fits the mood. I didn't want to get too filled up. I'm meeting some friends for dinner later. So, taking it easy. A little wine in the mix while I have Wimbledon on in the background and having a chat with my boys.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Well, Peter, John, it's been a while. So excited to get back together and into the swing of things here now that Wimbledon, which, I mean, to me, it's just the greatest 2 weeks of the sport, bar none. I love all the events. They're all unique, but this time of year, there's something special about it. And gotten off to a great start.
Yeah, I mean, let's just have it. It's also just because, there's no hockey, there's no NBA. It's kind of like the slow season when it comes to sports. We love baseball, but I mean, there's not much else going on. So you get Wimbledon backing up the playoffs and the finals. Go Panthers. And perfect timing. The place is just so beautiful. I mean, you look at the grounds.
It is like eye candy. I mean, it's very easy to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I was fortunate enough to have gone there last year for a few days, and I am so envious of everybody who's there now. But I can watch it on TV and I can know exactly where all the different spots are. And the one thing I realize is it is so condensed and packed in.
Yeah.
I mean, the courts are just right on top of each other. One of the things that I think that we take for granted, the players certainly don't. The tournament is the product, right? The tournament itself, the grounds, getting accustomed to the grass, the history, that starts to weigh on you. And obviously yesterday, Coco and the other 20 upsets there were
right
are a testament to that, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But I was just kind of running through the different upsets because I've been a little bit tied up with another really cool new tennis league that we've launched, the Intense Tennis League, playing out of Atlanta. And when I was going through and I was reading all the stories, it was like, my gosh, it was triage on both men's and first and second day. It's just like, what is happening? I mean, Coco, maybe, you might be able to get a little bit. Maybe it's still a little bit of French Open hangover. But some of the others, it's just so crazy to watch somebody like Zverev who has a nuclear weapon in his serve, but then it just seems that he plays so timid after that compared to the volume that he's capable of with this game. You just want to scream like when you hit the ball.
Yeah. I think it's crazy how the grass and the pomp and circumstance and all things Wimbledon are bringing some of these players to their knees. I mean, one of my takeaways is Pagula was so out of her mind in her match. I mean, at one point she walked to the wrong end of the court. She was grabbing the wrong rackets. I
No
mean,
kidding.
looked as
Wow.
just as disheveled as a player as I've ever seen. And you could say the same about maybe, a lot of these players who have gone down, which is definitely the storyline. I think our number is what, 29 of the top 64
Yeah.
players
Yeah.
are already gone, and we're through 2.5 days here. I mean, so it's still early, but
And the percentage of the top 10 that are out, it's
yeah,
just staggering.
yes,
And that Pagula score, I didn't see it in the match, but I looked at the score and I was like, is that right? I mean, that just looked like somebody got routine.
yeah, yep,
That's just not like her.
yeah. 4 of the top 5 women gone. Um, 4 of the top 9 and men gone. I mean, and all the 20 seeded players, most of them are all gone. So it's becoming a little open for some of the folks at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, so in 2013, we had what was famously called
Oh, yeah.
Black Wednesday, which was when 19 seeds went down. This year, 23 went down the first round. So, and as of this moment, when we were coming on the airwaves, we were up to 29 that are bounced thus far. So awesome drama.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We got Fritz right now in a breaker in the third. Oh, looking like solid up there, but I mean, he doesn't make anything easy, does he?
He doesn't,
No, he doesn't.
but
But he figures it out. It's crazy.
he does figure it out like that. Like he's mentally just so tough. I mean, I don't know if you saw his interview after the match against GMP, which we should talk about, but they asked him, like, what did you think about, playing last night and finishing versus today? He's like, didn't matter. I was going to win either way. Like he's really just dialed
Wow.
in. And, he's a real businessman. Like I was, when I was down in Delray this year and I caught him practicing on one of the back matches, it was literally him, Cedric, hitting and his coach, and then myself and Brian Powell watching. And when he came out, we were like, "Hey, Taylor, what's up?" Like a fan. And he didn't even acknowledge us. Like literally, it was like the 2 of us and the 3 of them. It wasn't like a big bunch of crowded people, right? But he's just so locked in on getting it done. And I got a lot of respect for TF.
Yeah. Yeah. No. He's just good for the game period. I mean, when he's on the court, he's everything that you want him to be. When he's off the court, he's everything you need him to be, promoting the game and himself. Yeah. Need more of him.
I was concerned he wasn't going to come back after the little mental lapse that he had when they suspended the play due to their curfew. They had, 43 minutes
Yeah.
to try and
What
squeeze
was
the
that
fifth
all
in.
about? That was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, but my issue was that the umpires asked the 2 players if what they wanted to do, and then they just overrode whatever Fritz said, which Fritz wanted to go ahead and play. He had the momentum. I think GMP had just almost rolled his ankle a little bit on a
Yeah.
serve, or he fell awkward. You could see his body language was deteriorating pretty significantly, and so GMP wanted to get the heck out of there.
Right. I mean, there were 2 things about that I was thinking that I think that should be reevaluated. First of all, they say, I believe it's that if one of the players doesn't want to continue, then they stop it. I believe it's if one of the players wants to play, they should play it.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, that would make more sense to me. And going back to your point about how head tough that Fritz is, you saw that he was not happy with the decision that was being made, but he just went with it, moved past it, into the night he went, and then came back the next day and did his business, which I found to be very impressive. Total professional.
Well, one thing I noticed, and I seems to be unique at Wimbledon, is the staff and the people that run the tournament. They are on top of everything, and they're very like deferential to the players. Like they don't seem to have a lot of ego in it. But again, the tournament has its rules, like the colors, right? No color, and the timing, the curfew, right? It's a small town. It's not like it's in Manhattan or even on Atlantic Ave in Delray. I mean, It's in a tony little village. They got to shut the lights off.
I mean, it's Wimbledon Village, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Crazy.
we've got something going on with the official coming out to the Fritz court right now.
Is that right?
No.
Yep. We're on
We're on a commercial break on our end.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
cool.
but
All right.
so far, we obviously Fritz's match was just insane. Sabalenka had a great first round, tighter second round, but she looking solid. But as much as it pains me to say this, JB, and I know it's going to be a softball right up the middle for you, but Djokovic is really looking good.
Yeah, I saw him hit a few balls again. Haven't had a chance to see too much. Heard is when he's moving well. There you go.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Right. Yep.
He's moving well, and he's got Daniel Evans in the next round, and then you've got Dimenauer in that quarter, Mensick in that quarter. Mensick could cause some problems because that guy serves so big. That's a very, very get outable quarter until you get to the quarters when he would have Draper, who is
Right.
he's no longer a dark horse. That guy is an absolute
No.
animal.
Well, and Joker's in much better health than he was last year, is he not? I mean, so I think to your point, he's moving better. So it is scary. I think he's going to be a shoo-in for the quarterfinals as well.
Well, and he's desperate. Right? This is his. I mean, this is his best opportunity of any tournament to get number 25.
Absolutely, this is it
because he's so confident. And it's got to be a bit of a, for a guy who likes to have a chip on his shoulder. When you're not like the media darling anymore, I mean, they should have a statue of Djokovic out in front of the tournament, alongside of Federer. but when the guys like Sinner and Alcaraz and of course Draper and Raducanu, the local favorites, they're stealing all the media, and he's kind of like quietly greatest player of all time sneaking along.
Yeah,
perfect for him.
Perfect.
How crazy is it that him going for number 25 isn't all over the place?
Yeah,
it's just not. It's so weird.
And it's odd that they don't promote him either. Like if that was Nadal or Federer, I hate to admit it, but every poster outside the tournament, every magazine cover, every article would be about it. But you don't hear it about Djokovic whatsoever. Almost like they dismiss that he has a chance. But I mean,
what an incredible time for tennis on the men's side. We're talking about Alcaraz and Sinner, this new rivalry, this new it's not even new anymore, but it's already proven to be something that is must-watch TV. But yet you still have this guy who is right there competing with the both of them, not even ready to give an inch. I mean, it's an incredible time for the sport right now.
Sure is. And the João Fonsecas of the world coming up the ranks, fast and furious.
He played Brooksby today, right?
He played Brooksby, and it was it was a tight match. Like tiebreaker, and I think everything else might have been 6-4, but Brooksby actually had him at.
Yeah, and he sure is.
He was 5. Brooksby was Fonseca rather was serving at 5-4 down love 40, and then proceeded. Brooksby kind of lost it and lost 6 points in a row. The match was over.
Yeah, that's just how it happens, isn't it? I mean, here's the one that I love more than anything. When I was kind of scrolling through the draw, how about our boy Adrian Manarino, Delray Beach fan favorite into the third round?
Yeah.
What?
I know those guys.
Oh my God, he's so fun.
Crafty pushers who have like that really blunted backswing and just can run all over the place. Moutet, same thing.
It's like he's playing ping pong.
I know.
He's so good. And when you have hands like him, that's going to be who does he have next? Let's look. Oh, this would be good. He's playing Andre Rublev.
Right, who's at this point contemplating his future in tennis. Like it seems week to week. But he had a great tournament before this. I think he lost in the semis at Eastbourne, but can't count him out. Although his countrymen got bounced pretty early. I think Medvedev's on the back end of his career, unfortunately.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Too early. What's happening there? That doesn't make sense. Hopefully, hardcore season he'll come back around because
he's the hard. He likes the hardcore. And then, of course, we got, Americans. So Foe lost a tough one today to Jerry, who's guy's on fire right now. And I would not want to play him. But Shelton, Fritz,
Love that.
TP.
Love
Yeah.
that top half. TP and Shelton.
Nakashima.
Yeah, that is good stuff. And
So some of the matches that I'm looking forward to coming up, we got next round, Sabalenka Raducanu. That's just like dripping with intrigue. Um, you know, she hasn't really done anything since she won the US Open, 3 years ago, at least 3 years ago. And of course, all the pressure of the British media. But my tastiest matchup would be Iga against the Danimal. And if they get through their second round match, that's going to be appointment television.
Yeah, sure is.
yeah, let's see, where is it? Okay, so they're in the bottom half.
How old's Raducanu? Or how young?
She's young. She's just like
What?
early
Is
20s.
she even 20? What was she?
I don't think so. She's gonna be fun to watch for a while.
Well, then a bit of a sidetrack on her. I don't know if you guys have seen the mixed doubles pairings for the US Open, but they put Alcaraz and Raducanu together, which of course everybody has speculated over there whether or not they like each other. It seems like Carlos has a crush on her, and she seems to at least intrigued by him. So that could be interesting. A lot of the mixed doubles players are really upset by those pairings because they went by TV ratings and
right.
Fan interest over these people who are making a living winning Grand Slams playing mixed doubles. So I don't know. I applaud them for trying to make it more prominent, but that could backfire.
So it's just a rumor that those two are.
There's a rumor.
Involved.
Yeah. I mean, I think
flirty.
I think it's more like we would like to see that happen.
Right. Okay.
But I don't know.
You think that's the S4 ATP WTA playing matchmaker? That's the Bumble of professional tennis.
Could be. That would be that'd be a great way to meet
Tinder
people,
tennis.
wouldn't it?
He seems smitten.
Tinder tennis. I like that.
You like that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Change the name of the podcast.
Tinder tennis. We might get some more recognition. All right. Well, let's turn our eyes to fashion at Wimbledon, which I think it's probably the hardest tournament to make yourself stand out, right? Because the color palette is white.
It really shows you who's the most creative, who has the most talent. It's so funny how many of our text threads are about the that we have with each other are about the fashion instead of what's going on in the court.
Totally.
Well, it's a tough one to break down the fashion because of what Norm just said. The rules and regulations are so strict. I think any color whatsoever, any piping down your shorts or skirts can only be a centimeter wide. So to be super narrow, I was a little. I knew it was strict, but I didn't realize it was going to be this strict. There's only white is allowed on the soles of your shoes. I don't think they can be clear. I think that would catch the grass. But the soles of your shoes have to be white. Obviously, everything they're about 98%, solid white, and it's not an off white or an egg white. It is, a 100% PMS white color.
Yeah.
So I think you have to get really creative with the logos. I mean, the things that I'm noticing are the first thing I noticed. I'm a little biased. Is the Adidas Originals logo that Zverev's wearing and that Nardi is wearing. Nardi's top was my favorite top that I've seen so far.
Yeah.
But it's also that Kelly Green sort of pops off of the white.
Sure does.
And same with New Balance, like the Kelly Green New Balance logo on the shoes I've seen on what feels like a third of the players. But it's tough. It's a tough tournament to get fashion forward or differentiate yourself. I think that's where the all of the accessories come in, whether it's the headband or a visor or a hat backwards or a sleeve on the elbow. You can't do anything with your socks. I was telling Norm earlier with Big Fo, it's his necklace, I think, separates him. But otherwise, fashion stuff, it's classic.
Well, I think what also Wimbledon provides is the opportunity where it really kind of narrows down what the designers and the labels can do. So you get something, I believe, that is better looking at Wimbledon than all the other tournaments where they sometimes just overdo it with the colors and the patterns. And it's like, we really don't have a good design, so let's throw a whole bunch of color at it or come up with these patterns, and then we'll call that this season's look. And it's just awful. Today, I mean, kudos to New Balance, kudos to Adidas. First prize for me is definitely what what Coco was wearing. Sad that she's not going to be able to wear it more often, but
Yeah.
that was just like an
It's
homage
beautiful.
to old school tennis fashion when tennis was high fashion. Very
Yeah,
that was
great
good
call.
look.
My wife saw that on TV and she literally whipped open her iPad and was like, "How can I buy Coco's dress?" I'm like, "Come on,
Yeah,
let's hit some more forehands first."
Right. Wow.
Well, that's gonna hurt later.
Yes, it
Uh,
is.
okay.
Edit that out.
But yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think Nike is kind of falling a little bit. Lack of creativity. They just slapped that old school logo there that he
Yeah.
was wearing, and it's just not really inventive at all.
Man.
But we'll see.
It's fun to see also the onlookers and the fans and the celebrities there and what they're wearing because they're all trying to outdo each other. David Beckham being one. So that's fun as well. It's part of it, I think, is the off the court dress code.
did you guys happen to watch? I mean, how awesome! But this would be terrifying. So if Felix and Struff are playing right now, and they've got Carlos Alcaraz just like leaning over watching his match. Have you seen that?
No,
I'm not.
Yeah, so he's out there scouting that next match, and he's got his hoodie on, hat, the hoodie over his head. He looks like a boxer, but walking out to a ring. So imagine if you're playing and you see this guy, he's like leaning over, studying your match. It's got to be like, oh, come on, man, you really need to be doing. And he's there by himself. His coach isn't even there. It's just actually he's scoping the match by himself.
that's awesome, and that's I was telling Peter. There are some courts where the space between
Right here.
the adjacent court is like maybe 6 feet, and you've got people kind of shoulder to shoulder facing one court, shoulder to shoulder facing the other, and then your towel is literally sitting in a patron's lap when they go and grab it and God forbid anybody could reach over, say something, do something to get you off your game. But I love the idea of Carlos doing some scouting on his own.
Yeah, very, very cool. Love that.
All right.
What do you guys think? You know what you saw? I just caught this. I'm late to the news about now we have basically brunch at Wimbledon instead of breakfast at Wimbledon. Did you catch that?
Oh yeah, because everything's seemingly starting later.
Yeah, the finals.
I know the finals got moved to 4 p.m. I think Eastern.
Well, it'll be 11 o'clock.
I think it's 4 p.m. local. Excuse me.
Yep. So
And maybe the Heat's playing something to do with that. That's another storyline. Is the Heat? I think either day one or day two. Probably day one was the hottest day in Wimbledon history at 93 degrees Fahrenheit. Then day two, I think, was 94 degrees.
well,
that's
what
like
I read was that they just really wanted to make sure that it was more available to be viewed in the biggest market in the world, which is East Coast United States.
Yeah.
So that was what I read in one piece, at least. The reason that they did that.
Well, I think if you look back at what the French Open did really well, TNT, hats off to them for their coverage. They made sure that every night there was a match that went right up until the very end, and they're taking advantage of that the roof. And yeah, you've got people in Europe that are up until 11, 12 o'clock watching, and you've got people in America watching as they're having dinner or going to dinner, whatever. But it makes for great drama, and you're pulling in people that otherwise would not be tuning into a tennis match.
Yeah, no, it definitely does make it more available in the biggest market in the world. So, I mean, that's going to be good for the advertisers and their numbers overall.
Well, right on. JB, I think you got to bounce soon, right?
I've got a couple minutes left, guys. I don't kick me off too early. I'm looking to hear some of my other notes.
Well, before you go, let's give a plug and tell us about what you're doing with Intense, and that's probably another podcast unto itself. I'd love to come down there
Oh my God.
do a live report from the ATL, but tell our listeners what you're up to.
Yeah, incredible new product out there in the tennis world is it's a professional league called Intense, INTENNSE. So I encourage everybody to look at intense.com. And then also follow the matches that are streamed live on Twitch on Saturday nights at 7 and Sundays at 2. Professional team-based league format with time-boxed matches, teams consisting of three men and 3 women, where they all battle it out against each other in what are called 10-minute faults. It's not your traditional tennis scoring, 15, 30, 40, 6, 2 out of 3 sets or whatever. You play 10-minute bolts, guy against guy, girl against girl. Then there's doubles as well, men's doubles, women's doubles, mixed doubles. And it is exactly the word intense. I mean, these guys are dripping exhausted after 10 minutes. There's only 14 seconds between points, between serves. You play at the server's pace. So if you're not ready, he can serve underhand and you've got to come running up for it. So it really makes you stay on your game. And what's really dynamic about it is that it's, all the players get paid salary. They get health benefits. They get, their accommodations, racket stringing, and all different sorts of things that you're out of pocket for when you hit the tour normally. So what we're really finding this to be an ideal place for is college athletes coming out playing the tour, your top juniors who are coming out and playing the tour. And instead of, declaring that you're a professional and you immediately have, a six-figure debt, you can play intense and have this opportunity to really work on your game, play against other top-notch players, get coaching. Every point is super vital, so it's not like you have a chance to fall back on deuce or I can come back and win the second set. You can't. Once your 10 minutes is up, once your bolt is up, those points are played. Those points count towards your team score, and that's how you declare a winner. It's super simple. It's whichever team has the most points at the end of the different bolts that are played, that's your winner. And it's proven to be incredibly exciting. We just had our second weekend, and the tennis was off the charts. The theater was off the charts. The venue is incredible with all the staging and the lighting and rigging and audio visual. We literally built this venue in a movie studio in Atlanta. So the scene is something like that's never been seen in sport, or at least for tennis. So lots happening, a lot to be excited about. The owners are already working on seasons 2 and 3 with adding more teams. Because currently we have 3 or 4 teams that play. They all come to Atlanta to play, and that's the rambling version of what Intense is all about. But no, please check it out, intense.com, and watch it on Twitch Saturday nights and Sunday days.
What are some of the markets that Intense could expand to, JB?
Really looking, throughout the Southeast. Right now teams are from Jacksonville, Tampa, and Atlanta, and we have a 4th team each weekend that's composed from a series of challenge matches that are played where people can sign up to play, and if they get far enough into the event, if they win the event, if they come out of their section, they form the challenge team for the weekend that plays against the official Intense League teams. And we've had some incredible talent, a lot of top college players that have come and really caused a lot of mayhem for the actual pros. So we're looking to expand next year, probably keeping it within the Southeast U.S. and where we'll have a couple of different venues next year that people will travel to and play. So that's what's on the immediate agenda, is growing to like about 8 or 10 teams.
Thanks, JB.
He's gone.
Is he? Can you hear us, Natalie?
Natalie, welcome to the podcast. Welcome back to the podcast.
What have you been up to, Natalie? How's your summer been?
Been great. Spending a lot of time in Cape Cod, Nantucket, located here in Boston. I just moved into a new apartment. So all things are good. Keeping up with my tennis family and friends as well. Watching a lot of tennis, of course.
Nice. All right, let's dive right in. What are your thoughts on these betting odds? Like, what are the updated odds with all these with all the carnage that we've seen so far? Well, what's the latest on your end?
And I guess as an adjunct question is, what does that do to the odds makers who are, when they're watching this, what does that do to their formula or to their odds making ability when there's so many upsets?
Yeah. So, I mean, these markets, when they're looking at all of these losses that they're incurring from these odds, when you look at Coco Gauff, I believe she was minus 1,000 to win. So anyone taking a long shot there, they're getting completely burned. So I think the first thing these sports books have to do is they have to look at it and figure out, how are we going to protect ourselves from these losses? So first things first, if I'm a sports book, I'm shortening my odds on outright matches. Because we're seeing a lot of upsets, so bettors are taking that, and there's, locker room think, all these younger seeded players, they think they have chances. So better sports books want to shorten odds to protect themselves from big losses that they've already incurred. The risk of doing that, however, is that with all of these upsets, bettors are getting hungry and we're going to see increased betting behavior. So those long shot odds actually might look more desirable to bettors. So all in all, if that's exactly what happened, that is how markets can maintain profitability. But yeah, the first thing I'm doing is I'm tightening those long shot odds on younger and lower seeded players.
Okay, so if I thought, I know beginning of the tournament, right? Alcaraz was the odds-on favorite, Sinner, Djokovic. Have those odds moved substantially in the last couple of days? Like when you see like this culling of the herd, right? 29 seeds, which is almost half the seeds, incredible in just a day and a half. So you think that their first reaction is to shrink those odds down? Is that on the matches or the actual overall betting, odds to win the tournament?
I think they're shrinking odds on long shots on specific matches more so than they are on futures. So
Okay.
looking at futures, Alcaraz has moved pretty minimally. He started at plus 115 and now he's at plus 110. Looking at Sinner, he started at plus 190 and he's at plus 170. And then we've seen no movement from Djokovic. So I think on the men's side, it's like a pretty clear picture when you look at the last 6 Grand Slams. They've been won by Sinner or Alcaraz, and it's really just a 2-man game. So when you're looking at futures, the lines on Fritz and Mensik and Fonseca, like those aren't going to move very much because in reality, I don't think those are the players that are winning these tournaments. On the women's side, we're definitely seeing a lot more movement with 4 or 5 top seeds out. And last year's winner also pulling out due to injury. We're seeing Sabalenka emerge as a favorite, and Rabankina's odds have moved from plus 550 to plus 450. And so I think that could very well be a final round matchup that we see there.
Somebody who's looking to, at this point, maybe take advantage of what's happened, Natalie, what might be some advice for them, or how are you looking at the balance of the tournament as the bettor?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, where bettors really want to capitalize on value is within prop bets. So they should be looking at set betting and in match scores. What that does, so betting markets are going to take those and they're actually going to make those long shots a little bit longer. But due to loss aversion that some of these bettors have on favorites that they've taken, they're going to be watching these excited, engaged, rooting for their favorite. That's Tiafoe. You saw that he came in at I think minus 170 today. When he was down 2-1, he was at plus 300. So for those people that are huge Tiafoe fans and they're coming off of a big loss from round 1, if you set the, Tiafoe to win 3-2 at plus 300, those bettors are taking that player. And I think another thing psychologically with bettors in tennis is you see a lot of anchoring happen because people have emotional attachment to tennis players, even more so than they do teams. So if you decide before the event you're riding for Tiafoe or Alcaraz, you're going to have a really hard time moving away from those bets if they're making those odds desirable to the person betting on them.
Is having an emotional attachment to a player and you're anchored in that respective player.
Like committing to bet on them throughout, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's betting with your heart, right?
Yeah, betting, which you probably never should do. But
no.
I can see where that would be a challenge in tennis. Like I know before the events, I try to pick like 4 or 5 that I think are going to win. I bet the futures just as kind of like it's almost like buying a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
But I think you unlock something for me and for our audience. Hopefully, set betting, I think, is in this event especially like very very few of the matches are straight sets unless they're just complete mismatches, right? Especially on the men's side. So like betting that 3.5 over on the sets and then parlaying a couple of those together. Like I've been able to put together some nice, odds that seem more attractive than just betting on, somebody who's at minus 110,
Yeah, absolutely. I think, for the sports books, taking the money lines for matches and futures, like that is what they have to do to preserve their market. And that's where tennis is not the most bet on sport. There's more casual markets. You don't see a lot of betting activity in between Grand Slams, so there's a lot less information feeding these lines in the off season. So you do see with tennis, these lines aren't always as accurate as other sports because there's less resources devoted to them from sports books. So with the casual bettor, they're taking money lines and they're taking futures. They're not taking set bets. Where we have sharp bettors leaning in during Grand Slams, that's where they're going to find their value because the sports books just don't have the ability to set those as accurately.
Speaking of that value, Natalie, with all the carnage that's happened so quickly in this Wimbledon, where further down, the C list, where are you seeing value? Like, who are the players, both men's and women's, that are seated in the teens or maybe in the 20s that you are placing the most value on or seeing the most value in?
Um, Not a teen, but I am absolutely going to put in something for Ben Shelton at plus 650 for the quarters. I will say that's a bit of an emotional bet, but also if you look at Shelton, a couple of years ago, he was just a college tennis player, you know, not doing much. And now he's a top 10 player as an American, reaching heights at Grand Slams and very, very strong serve. I haven't fully understood why the markets aren't identifying him as a stronger candidate on grass because we do see the big serve is what fuels success in these matches. So that quarter round would be probably Sinner versus Shelton, but while he might not take the pie there, I do think that he could produce an excellent matchup for us. So value or not, I think if you're looking to sprinkle some dollars, I would go there. Um, I think looking at the other side of the men's draw, the lines are pretty tight for Djokovic and Draper for the quarters. So we have Draper at plus 175. He's the number one Brit. And so I think that's a safe bet. That's definitely going to ride some value. I think we'll see as his performance progresses, we might see that become a little bit of a longer odd if he faces some 4 or 5 setters. So I think not placing that bet now, but that could definitely be something to look for maybe after round 2.
Platform wise, maybe talk about how different platforms or why different platforms would have different bets available. For example, I've got friends who've been really doing well with this set over under betting and parlaying that. And I can't find that action on DraftKings. They're seeming to get it on, able to get it on FanDuel. And I just wonder, how are the different books looking at different products or bets that they put out there? Why would one be doing, more of one particular action than another?
Yeah, it's a great question. I will say after a conversation the other day, I did open a DraftKings sportsbook in addition to FanDuel, and it's pretty interesting to see the differences not only in the odds but in the interface. Just looking at the interfaces, DraftKings recently updated theirs, and their futures are just very organized and clear to see, and it looks like they're driving the consumer to take those lines. Whereas on FanDuel, what they're showing you front and center is player props. And from my experience with the French Open as well, FanDuel consistently had sharper lines for player props and generally just is known to have sharper lines for player specific betting in multiple different sports leagues. Whereas DraftKings, I think we do see a little bit more of those future lines having less movement and being sharper.
Huh. So does that suggest that FanDuel is more, I don't know, interested in offering a greater spread of products for their audience than DraftKings, and DraftKings is trying to cover everything, or it just happens to be like, I wonder if one site's getting more action from tennis, and that's why maybe FanDuel's leaning in.
I would assume that FanDuel might be getting more action from tennis just because they're historically known to have better player props. So for golf, which is a similar betting strategy you might take, you're going to have sharper lines there. So I think it's possible we're seeing greater activity. I don't know for sure there. I think Also, DraftKings, from what I understand, is like maybe more easily used, widely used, and where tennis is a little bit more of a niche sport for betting. It's not necessarily people that are just constantly going in and out of their DraftKings account. And I'll add to that too. Draft FanDuel has a little bit better offerings when you first join for free play and generosity. So if you're not a casual bettor and you're more of a niche tennis bettor, you might find more value to add on FanDuel.
How readily available on all the platforms is betting on tennis?
Outside of FanDuel and DraftKings?
Yes.
I mean, I primarily engage with betting on there, but when I did my research on the efficiency of betting markets in professional tennis that I spoke on a prior podcast, all of the major sports books had pre-match odds for every single match throughout all tournaments, 250 through Grand Slam. So I do think money line odds are pretty readily findable, but I think when you're trying to get that niche value, you'll probably want to stick to DraftKings or FanDuel.
All right. Well, this is some good juice, Natalie, for us and for our listeners. Hopefully, I'm going to get this turned around quickly so people have some actionable information to that's right, to hopefully add some more pounds and pence to their wallets over the next fortnight here.
Absolutely. Would love to hear where you're placing your dollars tomorrow. Might have to steal some insights from you.
What other trends are you seeing? And I'm probably referring to prop bets, Natalie, but what other trends do you see specific to Wimbledon in regards to betting? Due to the grass, due to the elements, due to the uniqueness of the tournament, does that affect, for example, with all these upsets, is that affecting the way people are betting, how much they're betting? Are they skittish? Are they all in? Are they taking more risks?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely early. I can what I would expect is we'll see a lot of engagement with serve game betting. So taking like underdog to taking the underdog to get broken because like looking at the Tiafoe match this morning, his serve started crumbling, and so where serve should be a weapon, that's where we're going to see just a lot of engagement either way. So if a great player like Tiafoe shows up and he's not serving, like you're going to find value betting for the underdog there.
Yeah, so double false. I mean, paying attention. If you're looking at momentum betting, which I like to do, a lot of times 'cause I'm just lazy and I feel like I can watch a match and glean what's going to happen or take advantage of it. But that's the key metric, especially at Wimbledon. If they're double faulting, I mean, Coco yesterday was almost unwatchable. It was sad because she just fell apart and the match just got away from her. But that's probably the most important metric, I would think.
I'll give one more tip from French Open. I had a really successful bet there. Taking a line for it was in the Sinner Alcaraz final, taking the line for Sinner to win a point every single game of the first set. So I think finding niche loopholes like that, but when it's a really competitive match, like who do we have? Like today with Nori and Tiafoe, like that's a great bet to take. Both lines were plus 200, 250 for Alcaraz and Sinner. So those, if like whether it should be an upset or competitive, whether they're big servers and acers or whether they're long ralliers, like those are great bets to find value in as well.
Like that. I do too. Like that. Well, great. Well, Natalie, thank you for joining us again. I would like to invite you back, certainly, and have to come up with we need a name for the Natalie segment. So that's
we'll come up with that. We'll get a sponsor, maybe
a sponsor. Maybe that's a crowdsourced from our fans.
Yeah,
like a little content.
Yes,
I like that. We can divert to the fans. I think
Natalie's nuances.
I think if we do a final round, we should compare what our wallets are looking like at the end.
Yes, good call.
Absolutely. Yeah, we should be making predictions and putting this data on our soon to be produced website.
Yeah,
Peter.
Yes.
How's that coming?
Swell, swimmingly. Natalie, give Cape Cod and Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard our best, and then come see us in Portland, Maine sometime.
Yeah.
Will do. Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Watch out for the sharks down there. I mean, like
Yeah.
legitimate sharks. I've been watching Jaws and its 50th anniversary on like every channel it seems. And you know, we had great white stuff in Wells and Kennebunk last summer, so I'm sure they're all over the place down there.
Yeah, we got to stay away from those waters. Too much betting knowledge to be wasted over here.
All right, Natalie. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being a supporter, and we'll talk soon. Enjoy the rest of Wimbledon.
You too. Thanks.
See you, Natalie.
We've wasted enough of our time today, and our listeners.
Yes, we have.
Are we still recording? I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure what we got because the thing went in and out
I know.
a few times, but
That's tough.
we'll see.
I'm really enjoying the behind the scenes. I don't know if we're still recording this matter. We'll talk like we are. But the behind the scenes is great. They were showing Sinner walk from his locker room, and he had this most roundabout long walk. And you see all these parts of the All England Lawn Tennis Club that you would never see. You see the gates with the ADLTC logos. It is really cool how they show the behind the scenes. It reminds me of when you watch the Tour de France and they're the helicopter shots on like Discovery Channel, whatever it is. It looks like a Discovery Channel show. And they just show all these castles in France that are, half a mile off of the course to the right or to the left. Or they show the ocean of these mountains or these vineyards. And it's just stunningly beautiful.
It really is. I mean, Wimbledon is stunning. Even like walking out of there back to the train station, you're going through this beautiful tree-lined suburb, like you're, in, I don't know, Chestnut Hill in Boston or whatever. And it's just, it's amazing. We're going to go watch some soccer, some football.
Yeah. Up the hearts.
Still up? Uh-oh. I think I've been cut off. Gentlemen, it's been great. Go team. Talk to you later, guys.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe to Breaking Back on your favorite podcast platform. And be sure to follow us on X and Instagram at Breaking Back Pod.